welcome back to my channel. My name is Toni-Anne and the focus today is brushes. So if you want to see what I recommend, then just continue watching. So I had an entirely different plan for when I sat down to film, but I remembered my mum when I did her makeup the other day and my sister, they both expressed that they don't know the difference between the brushes, they don't know what to use, they just leave it up to me. But I thought, let me actually, share my knowledge and let you guys know what brushes to use, how to use them, and we'll go from there. So today's video is just going to be the base. Let me get into it. So I'm just going to use my Spectrum Marvelous brush set as reference today, but you don't really need to use expensive brushes, especially when you're just starting out. You can just buy a set from Amazon. I still have one that I use. So starting with brows. So this is a A24 brush, which is an angled brush, as you can see. So it's perfect for carving out like the outline of the brow, and it comes with spoolie. I usually use a pencil and do it off camera, but I'm going to use a brow pomade just to show you how to use this brush. The pomade I'm using is by Makeup Revolution and it's in dark brown. Use the spoolie side just to brush out your brows. I really could tweeze them, but take a small amount and lightly brush into the product. See, just at the top I've got it. With pomades, I'll just say that don't go in too heavy-handed, because I have quite thick brows as well. I don't need to go in with a lot of product. So you see the outline is there? Just by that little tiny bit, because pomades are very pigmented. Okay, so that's one brow done. I'm going to do the other one off camera and then get into what brush you use for concealer. So I'm using a Maybelline concealer in tan. The brush that I'm going to use is the A16, which is the Precision Crease. So you see it's a flat, really miniature brush, just so you can get bright up in there. Some people use the wand from the actual concealer, but I find you end up making more mistakes that way, so I would go in with a brush if you have them. Or if you go in with the applicator, just go a tiny bit lower than your actual brow so you don't go in and make a mistake straight away. Just going to make them a bit smaller. So you see the difference now, this side is concealed and this side is not. Okay, next is foundation. Now this is debatable and all down to preference again. I like to use this domed buffer brush, which is the BO2 brush. It's a bit denser to put the foundation on because I feel it sucks up less product and you get better coverage overall. But some people prefer to use this oval foundation brush, which is like a flat brush like that. But I find that this leaves streaks sometimes and it just makes the whole process a bit longer, and you probably would have to use both in conjunction. And just to save yourself from getting dirty brushes, just use one. I prefer using a brush for foundation as well, because I find the coverage is a lot better. Like, look at that, like this is a medium to full foundation, and that looks full. Like I wouldn't have to build it up as such. I did put a lot on one side of my face. You see that it's quite seamless. I'll do a side by side so you can see the difference. So I used the angled foundation brush. Yeah, I feel like the whole process for me personally just takes a lot longer with this brush than with the other. So I'll go back to the one I use. Next I'm doing concealer. With my under eye, I tend to use the applicator because it's just a lot faster. So I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. And we'll move on to bronzer. Okay, so for bronzer, I'm using Fenty Beauty again, using Cocoa Naughty. So what I used was the CO7 oval powder brush. Well, it's powder, so it works. But some people would use this angled brush, which is the AO5, which is the precision, another precision brush. But for this brush in particular, I would use this to contour rather than to bronze, because I feel obviously with contour you're creating shadows, and with bronzer you're bringing color back to your face. So I prefer something that's a bit more oval, so you can just around. So I'm going to use the CO7, and for bronze use the mirror in here. And then when it comes to blending it out, you blend upwards rather than down in circular motions. I usually would use a smaller brush for my nose, but I'm trying not to get any more brushes dirty. It's time to blend out the concealer. And what I actually like to do, even though I've got foundation on this brush now, I like to use a foundation brush for this. I'm going to use the side that doesn't have any product on it and just blend out the edges underneath my eyes. And I find with the brush you keep a bit more of the pigment rather than using a sponge. And the closer you get to the outer rim of your face, I'll just say again circular motions, so it blends in seamlessly. Oh, and the brush I'm using is the AO3. Okay, so that's all blended out now. My Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. I got a new one! I got two! Yeah, this is the moment where you use your sponge and just blend everything in. I use the sponge as more of a fixer rather than an applicator. So I wouldn't say totally get rid of a sponge and don't use it. No, use a sponge. Just know when to use it, because you don't want your product to be soaked up, because you end up using more and have to buy more. So for powder, I'm using my banana powder by Makeup Revolution. I'm using the AO4 brush, which sort of has a tip to it, like it goes up like that. It's just easier to go right up underneath the eye, so I love brushes like this. I used to use a sponge for this, but I ended up using way too much product, so I prefer to use this. What is this brush called? Tapered finishing brush. I'm not a baker because I have dry skin, so I just tap it like that right under the eye and concentrate it. Pop a little bit more. What I do is I just put a tiny bit at a time, and then you can put a bit more, and then if you put too much I will show you what to do. That's one side done. See the difference? And then I'm just gonna, whatever's left on the brush I'm gonna use for the middle of my nose. So what I do, I'm getting extra as well, just wipe off whatever was on the brush, and then I use this brush again because I'm too lazy to get another brush. So I go into my black opal finishing powder in dark with the same brush, and I just go on to where my smile line is and underneath the bronzer. And then if I use too much yellow, like I feel like I'm too bright underneath here, just get a tiny bit and go over it. So for blush, I use the AO1 brush, which is the large domed powder brush. So you see, it's just a round brush like that, and you can softly apply. So I'm just using a UR Gold palette and using this very pink. And I'm going to start from the back and slowly build it up to the front. Because now my face is quite round, I want it to sort of bring me back rather than focus on the apples of my cheek. So now you see the blush side and the non-blush side. Next is highlight. This is the BO8 brush. I know some people like using the fan brush, but no. Because the fan brush, it sort of gives you that stark line, and I feel with these sort of brushes you can blend it out better. So I'm going to go into the highlight shade and swirl around in it and start at the back and build to the front. Wow! I put a lot on this brush, but then you could see that. Wow! Oh my god! So, as a way to fix that, you go back in with your blush brush and just help blend it out as well. I really didn't mean to go that crazy. Now that is bright. You could also go in with the sponge to calm it down a bit. Yeah, that's a lot better. Go back in with the blush brush. Go put a little bit of blush on it. Then out top there. That's better. Tiny bit on the bottom of your nose. There. And right in the middle. We do not connect them. We don't want that long line. And you use your sponge to blend it out a bit. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I didn't do mascara on my eyes or my lips because that will be in a separate video. But I hope you guys learned a lot. Here are all the brushes that I used today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope I taught you a thing or two. And come back next week so you can see how to do your eyes, lashes, and your lips. So I will see you next time. Bye! Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. Bye!